Ta-da! Welcome everybody to the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We're your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. Russell, you're in Boston still?
Awesome. Yep.
Hostile territory for me. We're playing the Celtics on Christmas Day, so
Man, American people get such a bad rap, but they're so polite. They're so polite.
really?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like the easiest and the best example is on the train. Every single time we've hopped onto a train, people have stood up to let the kids sit down. Every time.
Is it because you're an Aussie?
Boston, it's no. Because we just walk on the train and they just see the kids and they stand up. It's a really I would actually say they're more polite than Aussies.
Wow. Okay. You heard it here first.
It's this
Wow.
weird dichotomy of, the whole sort of social media and media expectation versus reality. It's
Yeah.
very really polite people. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Bit surprising, actually. Cool.
It is. It's confronting. How about yourself? What have you been up to, man?
Not a lot. I'm finished work for the year, so a little bit looking forward to a little bit of rest and relaxation, mainly. Maybe flicking through some cards. I went and picked up my Christmas present a couple of days ago from our friend of the show, Matt Yuga. I got myself a couple of cases. So I went down and met him at Cherry and picked up my card cases. So
Sweet.
yeah. I'll be
Yeah, that's
geared up for the next trade show we go, next trade day we go to.
Did you get the 3-row one or the 1-row one?
I got both. Got one of each. One to keep my card, the bulk of it in, and one to take down to, I don't know, the next EJ's trading day. Yeah, should be good.
Is in one for your special cards and one for your traders? Is that what you think?
Yeah, pretty much. One to just store my cards in general, and then one to put some trades and stuff that I want it so I can transport it around when I do go to trade days and whatnot or shows. Yeah.
Looking forward to having a look at it myself, actually, man.
Yeah, and then I'm looking to I might be dabbling in a couple of packs from other friends of the show using promo codes. You know what? Treat myself. Have a You Can't Cop This Christmas.
Were we talking about Hangman?
Yes. I'm
Hope you get something good out of it, man.
Yeah, well,
Right. Should we jump in?
Anyway, we're back to the show. Enough about my Christmas. You're over in Boston.
Yeah.
Should we get into the news first? First cab off the rank, because it's Christmas.
I think we just jump straight into it, man. Let's just talk about Anthony Edwards and his very public social media outing. So we're not going to go into all the details on this, just for our junior listeners at home, but for our more adult people, if you'd like to jump onto Instagram and go to @DreamPage, and Page is spelled Paige. This is the young lady that Edwards allegedly has begun a friendship with. And if you would like to go onto Twitter and follow @NickIsWashed, and that's just as you would normally spell it, you'll be able to see all of the screenshots that Dream Page posted about their recent goings on. So basically, I think the thing that we can report is his $100,000 payment to her. Essentially, is
Yeah.
it's not hush money, isn't it? It's more
It's an arrangement of sorts. How's that?
yeah. Look, I think when I first saw this, what I was wondering about, and you really touched on this when we were off the air, was is this like another Josh Giddey thing? And I don't think it is. I don't think. I think because this topic is such a sensitive thing, there's no mainstream media that would ever pick this up in a million years. And I think probably as such, the regular collector isn't going to be influenced or affected by this. So I don't see
Mm,
any reason why his pricing should move. But I think, maybe from a more positive point of view, this year, I think he's having, one of the best seasons. Right? Let me rephrase that. He is having one of the best seasons of his career.
for sure, for
And I
sure.
think, yeah, some of the things that I was probably concerned about the Wolves being able to do is like him being able to handle the ball well enough to, find space. And he's definitely doing that. And also his 3-point shooting, which is probably something that is, less of one of my worries.
Yeah.
And the Wolves are just, a fantastic record at the moment. There's some power rankings that have got the Wolves at number one. I think that's a little bit sort of clickbaity, and that I think the agencies are doing that and just doing it, to sort of generate conversation. But
Mm,
there is an argument to be made. Defensively they are exceptional. They've definitely worked out um, how to hide Carl Anthony Towns. I think that's a very polite way of saying it. And then the rest of the team has just really come together well. And that's not something I think, again, being honest, I didn't see that happening in any capacity at all. I felt like I was more waiting for them to trade Carl Anthony Towns or trade Gobert and sort of try and recoup back some of the assets that they, did send away to get Gobert. So
it's
yeah,
I
it's
don't
good.
know. The
It's
Wol-
good to be
my
wrong.
big question with the Wolves at the moment is how sustainable is it? And at the moment, we'll see. I guess it's going well.
But the interesting thing at the moment is sustainability. They're not the only team who, because we went through this, huge trend of everybody downsizing, and I think there is, I think the Wolves obviously did it in the most profound way in terms of doubling down and running two big guys. But the other team
Yeah.
that comes to mind too is the Brooklyn Nets,
Okay.
and
Yep.
then I suppose there's not a heap of teams doing it, but maybe the other team you could say that's running two big guys at the moment is the Spurs. That's probably the other one. But I think
Mm.
probably the Spurs back of the mind, I think is more to protect Wembanyama and not sort of put him into situations where he's getting injured.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I definitely think that what the Timberwolves are doing is rather unique, and I think it's taken them
Yeah, definitely.
well over a season to get it right. You know what I mean? Like last year, it seemed like they didn't know what they were doing, whereas this year it feels like they've sort of figured it out, and it's I don't know, they're up there at the top of the West, and it's impressive. It's impressive, and definitely you're right. Anthony Edwards
No, look,
is having an absolutely stellar season, working with it. So I don't know. Should we check in on
so,
prices for Mister Edwards?
so literally, you took the word out of my mouth because I think if you look at the word stellar here and you look at his card pricing, the last 3 months, it's anything but stellar. He's actually down 21%. And then looking at his
This is crazy.
1 year, which is I probably think it's so weird, isn't it? It doesn't fit the narrative at all. I mean, if you look at the last 12 months, he's actually down 16%. So that for me is a really interesting one. And I'm just trying to
Yeah.
think of some explanations, for that. Is it the fact that he's playing so well, so people are just taking the opportunity to unload him?
Look, percentage
Because
wise,
I don't think
we're
that
talking about we're not talking much. We're talking like he started around selling for around the 600 mark, and now he's selling for his last sale was what 530. So he's relatively steady in the last in the last year. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not Jordan Poole's fall from 1,000 down to $200.
no, but I think yeah, but in the last 12 months data, he's
Mm,
down 16%. If
mm.
you had have said to me doing a blind test over the last 12 months, is Anthony Edwards up 16% or down 16%? I would have said up. So that's probably
Yeah.
where like my mind is thinking at the moment. Why is he down? Look, it, and the simple answer might be that the price of an Anthony Edwards is $500, and now it's actually settled down at the price. It's
Mm.
really interesting the numbers where cards seem to settle down. I feel like there is that sort of like
There's a
the
settle
250
point.
ceiling, then there's the 400
The
ceiling, and then
thresholds,
there's the
yeah, for
500
sure.
ceiling. So yeah,
For sure.
maybe
I've got a couple of
maybe that's the
theories
collectors.
on other variables, and I could be
Talk to
wrong,
me.
but we've just had like
Okay.
hoops has dropped. So the new wave has come out, and everyone's focus is getting their hands on those Wemby rookies, right? Is it the early in the new year we start to see people respecting cards that aren't hot and new and starting to look to buy stuff? Like there's different stages of the season where the success of the early success of the Timberwolves isn't recognized until later on if it's maintained. So the eyes are on Edwards now, and if it continues, then the price goes up. Like then people jump on board. I don't know. I
I mean, look, maybe, but
maybe we need to ask an expert like Josh Ferrugia and understand how the Ferrugia factor works. God, it's confusing. But it is like he's doing well, and it's not being
I
reflected
think
in
part of what
prices.
we need to. It is confusing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And part of it might just be that the market is down, and it's as
Yeah.
simple as that, and that's part of it. But
Yep.
I think for someone who's this season averages 24.6 points,
Mm-hmm.
5 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and his shooting numbers are pretty good.
Yep.
I
I have
I'm really
a
struggling here to
I
sort of get
I
my head
have
around this.
a
So I suppose the real question.
well, I have a long term question about this. This is probably my biggest question: is in 10 years from now, when this man's career is established, is this guy a $500 rookie card or is he $1,000 rookie card?
Yeah,
And that's
I
I
think
get
that's an excellent question.
that's what we're really sort of because we've talked about those ceilings. The pop count is nearly 1,500 on his PSA 10, so that might be a negative. But my thought is he's that in that $800 to $1,000 range if he continues on the trajectory that he's on. But yeah,
Well, look, so I suppose, do you think this is a buy, hold, or sell right now? Where are you with that?
hmm, I'd be tempted to buy. I wouldn't be selling at this price. So if I had one, I'd be holding it because I think he'll be higher in years to come. I don't think this is a flash in the pan.
You go out and spend 500 on one though?
It wouldn't be my first call, but it wouldn't be if it was there. It wouldn't be a definite no, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like if I there are other things I would spend that kind of money on, like without thought. But if other things that I wasn't chasing were like if it was stuff wasn't on offer and that was there, it'd be a consideration. It's definitely not off the table because as I said, I think in years to come, I think he's an investment. Team USA,
Yeah.
current performance, I think his trajectory is headed in the right way, the right direction.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And I think what you said is pretty much exactly what I'm going to say, but it's just in a slightly different way. I think Anthony Edwards is a buy, but do I think that's the best way to spend your money on Edwards on a silver PSA 10? Because you did highlight the pop. Are
Yeah.
you better off trying to get something that's maybe numbered as an autograph, or maybe
Mm.
even like a nice game worn patch, or maybe like a jersey patch from his rookie year, even though the napkin patches, and that's sort of a separate, conversation altogether. But getting that rookie logo, I think does mean something. So
All right, here's a question for you.
yes,
Do you go and spend big money and
hit
spend
me.
3.5 grand on a blue ice number to 125? Pop 17.
So if you've got the spend for it, maybe actually that's the better way to, and start hunting around, in auction houses, trying to pick up something nice. Like if he is on a bit of a down, yeah, getting that numbered stuff.
Ooh, or see, because I love the. I mean, you don't really get a good color match on the Wolves, but we got the fast break blue to 175, pop count of 33, last sold price of 1,263. I think that's an interesting buy. I would probably, if I had the liquidity, I would consider it very strongly. Especially considering the sale before that in November was 1750. So
That's right.
mm.
So Ja Morant is back.
He
He's
is
back, and he didn't waste a moment in
reminding the league that he's Ja
what he
Morant.
was before he left,
Yeah.
and that's right. So, I think hobby-wise, this is actually really important because I think it's pretty well established how much money people lost on Zion Williamson, sort of
Mm-hmm.
post the COVID bubble that burst, and then I think the concern that I had, when I sort of saw all this, going down was, how much more money people are going to be, losing on someone who I thought was actually probably more conservative, but better spend, frankly, because of, how much hype and injury concern that there was with Zion. So, look, I think
I keep looking.
the
I'm
league is
looking at
better
Jar
with
at the
Ja Morant
moment,
in it.
and
And
I've been breaking down on card ladder. He was down over the last year. He's down like almost 38% for his PSA 10. However, the last 6 months he's up 10%. The last 3 months he's up 20%. The last month he's up 25%. And he's up 10% over the last 2 weeks. So have we reached the floor with Ja Morant, and is he back? Is this a time to buy? Is he a buy, a hold, or a sell? We've seen one game, right? Like,
probably think the time to buy was, I think the time to buy was a month ago, to be perfectly honest with you, because he definitely trended down quite a bit. And I think you can buy now, but I think you'll be seeing an uptick. So 35 minutes, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, and 34 points.
to go with the game winner. Yeah.
And that's keeping in mind that's right. And he must have had some rust on those hands, coming back. Like you don't take all the time off that he had and be all guns firing. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I think this is amazing news. I think he's a very strong buy at the moment. And I think if you've been picking up Ja Morant's,
You're not going to
while he's
regret
been
it.
suspended, I think you've been doing, I think you've done really, really well for yourself.
For
And,
sure.
You just have to sort of, maybe stick out the next 12 months to 2 years, because I think the problem the Grizzlies is that they're in such a hole at the moment. So they're 7-19.
Yep.
You're not expecting to get any postseason bump. You're not expecting to get any, regular season awards with this guy, because they've suspended him for basically, the perfect amount of time so that he'll be excluded from any awards.
Yep.
How that affects him, long term in terms of, Hall of Fame numbers and stuff like that.
I think
don't
one
think it's gonna be a
season.
problem at all, but
I think one
long
season
term, I still
is
think
not
you
going
need
to
to
taint
think
him.
about Ja Morant in sort of a 12 to 24 month window. I don't think this
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, look, maybe this is actually the ultimate fruit factor, isn't it? Where you might make a quick flip. I just think realistically, to get that yield, it's going to be a 24-month thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this season specifically, this season Ja has got to be team first. My question is, can Ja Morant turn this season around, and can he make his teammates, like those around him, that much better? That is his mission for the year. He's got to bring the positivity to that Grizzlies unit because he started it by getting suspended, right? The injuries came after that. But now it's on him to keep everybody's spirits up and to make those around him better. I think Jaren Jackson will be better for it. I don't know. I think this is a real test of Jar's character as a guard to really lead his team and lead by example. And now he can put everything he has, like if he can put all this nonsense behind him and just he can really grow into a leader. This is an opportunity for Jar, and I think long term, I think this is the season that sort of dictates sort of where his career heads. Big words, I know, but
So, yeah. Look, so if you're looking at eighth place in the West at the moment, that's the Lakers at 15 and 12. So currently the Grizzlies are 7 and 19. So that's an 8-game
oh, they're miles behind.
deficit to that.
Is the
I think they
play in
can-
a
I
good
think
target?
If you're being so currently that's Phoenix at 14 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
But basically they would have to win 12 games in a row to be there. Look, I'm an optimist when it comes to Jar, and I think a lot of him. I was going to say I think the world of him, but I think that's going a little bit too
I think
far.
a lot of him, yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a massive deficit to make up.
Yep. Look, I don't think it's.
And I'd also say the fact that
yeah, I don't think it's an easy job by any means.
the West has changed, man. Like you look at the teams at the top up here, the
Mm.
Wolves at 20 and 5, the Thunder at 17 and 8. Like those two teams. Well,
Yeah.
the Wolves were hanging around, but those two teams were in the playoffs last year, and that effectively means two teams that made it last year aren't going to make it this year. You know what I mean? Like that's a very simple
That's
maths
true.
equation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. Well, it's good to see Jar back. That's my takeaway from that. It's really
Couldn't
good to
agree
see him
more.
back. I mean, if you see Jars at a good price, I'm definitely on the buy train. But I think that window is going to start closing, especially if Jar is going to put up numbers, serious numbers. So he might remind everyone why he was in the MVP conversations early last season, before all the nonsense began.
Yeah. All right. So a little bit of a local Boston story at the moment. So I've been to a few Boston art stores, and
Yes.
I've just been not listening to people's conversations, but overhearing, and people are asking for Tatum autographs. Every single shop I've been to, people have been coming and asking for Tatum. But the thing that I've really noticed is how many people are wearing Jaylen Brown t-shirts and singlets in Boston. So I would probably say,
Huh.
look, people love Tatum. He gets the loudest cheer from the crowd. That's absolutely true. But I wonder if almost the people's choice is Tatum, is Jaylen Brown. So we
Interesting.
were talking off air. You wanted to do a little bit of player versus player. So we'll start with Jason Tatum. Silver PSA 10 last sold for $695. The pop on that is $833. So obviously, much
Look,
just the fact that
it's
he's
not a
17,
high
18.
it's not a high pop count given other players that have been sort of graded in from that season. Yeah.
No, I feel like you're more leaning towards Jaylen Brown though. So where are you at with Jaylen Brown?
Jaylen Brown, I think is the more interesting. I'm just bringing them up this everything up on the so Silver Prism PSA 10. All right, ready for this? Jaylen Brown 2016 Silver Prism, population count of 274. So a third of Tatum. Last sold for $157.50. Surely not. Surely not.
I say that's correct. And even if you look at some of the shorter press stuff, like there's a Starburst on there that sold for 107. So
Is
with just a
this
half
is
pop
this
count of the silver.
seriously underrated? Like the pop count is tiny compared to your Lucas, your Tatum's. Like it's no Dame Lillard. It's not a pop count of 40 or 50, but it's less than 300. Is there an argument to be made that Brown is the value here? Or is he always going to be a number two?
So I think I think someone can have hobby value being a number two,
Scottie Pippen.
and if they're going to win the championship, sure. If they're going to win the championship this year, they need him to play amazing.
Yes.
Like it's as simple as that. Like that, Tatum's getting better, and that's the other thing I was leading to here is I think Jaylen Brown is getting better, and I can't, God forbid, what I'm about to say. I think Joe Mazzulla is actually becoming a better coach, and his rotations are excellent. That's the only word I can use for them because the one thing that they've been doing a lot of lately is making sure that either Tatum or Brown is on the court for 48 minutes. And look, this is like the Bill Simmons thing where he talks about just coaches doing simple things correctly. And I think having, one of your stars on the court at all times is like, that's the ultimate like Bill Simmons rule, and Mazzulla's doing that. He wasn't doing that previously. And it's one thing I've noticed about the Celtics is they really are giving their stars time to play together, which I think those two need to play together, but they're also giving them, a little bit of breathing space. I think having Jaylen Brown lead the second unit is a really, really good idea. And then, same as Tatum, it's good to have him, out there doing his own thing. So look, you've actually spun me around a little bit on this because I was going to lead off and say, I think Tatum's a really good buy considering the low pop count and, the price doesn't seem too bad. And, considering the fact of, they're probably favourites to win it this year. But you're looking at that in terms of value and potentially something getting a bigger percentage bump. I think Jaylen Brown is, where you're at.
Yeah, just the prices in general, right? Because I remember we were talking a lot about Tatum last season, and I am very, very interested in. Do people in Boston not like basketball cards? Because in the last year, Tatum is down almost 50%, and Brown's down over 50%. Like
Hard Vault, they had sections that were only Celtics cards.
Jeez.
People in Boston are very, very Boston proud. So I would say
Interesting. I just
yes, they love their Celtics and their Celtics cards.
That's interesting because back earlier in the year, we were talking about Tatum at that $1,000 ceiling. Like that, sorry, 1,200, 1,300 was the starting price back in January this year. This is before like last season, Celtics are running into the playoffs and all the rest. Like Tatum was around the $1,000 to $1,200 to $1,300 mark, and now less than $700 US. Surely that's a buy for Tatum. Like it just seems undervalued. Like we're talking about, would you spend money on Anthony Edwards and 160 US for a silver prism Jaylen Brown? Bizarre.
We do talk about this, but maybe this is something that we don't talk about enough. Like maybe missing the point here. The point isn't that this card is undervalued or overvalued, or it's Jason Tatum and he's playing really well and then most likely going to win the championship. Is this simply about the fact that the economy is changing and people are taking their money out of cards and putting it into utilities or their mortgage now? Like I think, how can I say this? I think we have to at least acknowledge that could be having some impact on what we're seeing here, because
but there are players we're looking that are going up in these short periods of time, and I'm seeing stars like Tatum and Brown going down.
That's right, and there's not a good explanation for that though in my mind.
I don't get it. That's what I mean. Like that's why I was legitimately curious. Are people in Boston just not interested in basketball cards at the moment because these prices are going down? Whereas you've got Ja Morant, who's up 20% over the last 6 months. Or is that he's already hit the floor in different circumstances? Like star players are on the decline because they're turning over. People are flipping to like trying to sell for economic reasons, not for gains, for
Ja,
necessity.
Ja has had a large fall though, so I think
True.
yes, he
That's a
has had
different.
some growth. But he's also had like he's fallen off like quite
But
a
like
fair bit too.
Anthony Edwards hasn't dropped that much.
Mm.
Like 50%, nearly 50% drop is. And Boston are killing it at the moment. Like and yeah,
Yeah.
obviously there's an on-flow effect that happens in our hobby. It's not instant. It's
Oh,
not a tear of 10 games and then all of a sudden Jason Tatum's are worth $2,000. Where I guess we're familiar with the crazy spikes. But the slow burn, I guess we're back to the slow burn where things just tick along and simmer before the
another
card
thing that
prices. Yeah.
can happen too is like people can get cold feet, so they see cards dropping and they unload them, and that can also like
Mm,
self-perpetuating, continue that sort of problem. But yeah, I mean that could definitely be part of it. Look, I think the real question is the buy, hold, and sell, and I think so. For me, I'm happy to stay with Tatum at the moment. I'm not jumping on, not jumping off, but I
hmm
think Jalen Brown, I think, is a very strong buy because I think for me, I'm really betting on that sort of lower end, but also too,
mm.
I'm betting on that team success of the Celtics, and I think that actually I'll let you do your buy, holds, and sells, and then I think we'll lead into our next
I
segment
was gonna
because
say it
this
leads
is actually
perfectly. It actually the perfect segue.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, look, I would buy both at the moment.
yeah,
The
right.
final thing I'll look at because we all know how much I love it. I keep checking in with it. All right,
You're green. Talk to us
The
then.
green Tatum is now up almost 23%. Last sold for 3,200. That's a spike, by the
Uh,
way. But there is a Jalen Brown green. Last sold for $307. But it was selling for around the $600 to $700 mark up until that. So this is could be an anomaly in November because there was a sale in October for $650. So it's around that $650 to $700 mark for the Jalen Brown green prism PSA 10. Pop count on that one is 65, and the pop count on the Tatum is 179. So I don't know. It's interesting numbers. And look, I don't know how much you've explained. Boston people love their cards. Wonder how much they love their color matches, but yeah, yeah, I think they're both buys at the moment. Shall we move on to the next segment? Very poetically.
yeah, so I think just to sort of lead this in, so this next segment is about the best third options in the league and where the was. I went and saw the Celtics play the other night. We had seats were pretty much the third row from the back, but we
Nice.
were right in the middle. So it's a really well designed stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Actually the visibility was excellent. So we had a fantastic time. I couldn't get over how good Kristaps Porzingis was as a third option. Like in terms of his skill set,
Mm.
shooting, rebounding, he did enough sort of passing and dribbling to keep the team honest. And I just think I'm just really struggling at the moment when other teams pick up really good pieces, basically for pocket change. I think turning
Yep.
Time Lord into Porzingis is just an absolute heist,
That's crazy,
and
isn't it?
his
Yeah.
skill set is just crazy. Yeah, and I think he bounces off those two other guys just so well. So I think what I wanted to talk to you about was who are the best three man in the league. So I think let's do a really quick price check into Porzingis, and this is someone that we've spoken about in the past. I'm I'm quite high on this guy in terms of his hobby value, just for the fact
Mm.
that I think he is quite undercooked in a lot of ways. And look, I think part of that is, who he is as a player and all that type of stuff. Like, I get that, but
Yeah.
I also think at some point, people are super talented, and with this guy too, he went from a situation which was not fantastic for him, and I actually can't think of a better situation for this guy. So
Yeah.
his silver rookie PSA 10 is currently trading at $180. If you look at his last 1 year of data,
Let's have
he
a
has
look.
gone up and down, dramatically. So he
He
was down
looks
to
like a
$52
theme
at
park,
one
an
point.
American theme park. He does.
Yeah. And the high in the last 12 months is 200.
Hmm.
And if you're looking at the growth in the last 12 months, he's up 89%. So look, you can make the argument, we had talked about this guy previously. So, you might
Yeah.
have bought it the last time we had that conversation. You know, would I be recommending this as a strong buy at the moment? Look, probably not, to be honest,
No.
just for the fact that, he has moved up so much in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Would I say sell at the moment? Definitely not. I would say hold because he actually might slip up just a little bit more, as
Yeah.
the Celtics move through the season. So
For sure.
yeah,
Well, so you put it to our Facebook group.
I did.
Who was where do we go? We're looking at big threes, aren't we? You think Kristaps Porzingis is the best, is a quality three option? Do you think he's the best in the league?
I think he's the best in the league at the moment. That's probably where and I wanted to do this activity too for my own sort of
Yeah.
mindset to see what other people have got in the league. And look, there's definitely two other teams that I think have extremely honorable mentions, and that is the Clippers
Yep.
and the Phoenix Suns. But I would probably lean towards, in terms of like the three, how they complement each other. I think the thing that's probably the biggest differences, say, between the Suns and the Clippers, and then the Celtics and the Suns, is
Yep.
that there's so much overlap with the Clippers and the Suns, whereas with the Celtics, those three just seem to like fit together so nicely. So
That's interesting because I do think Phoenix overall skill wise, I think Phoenix's big three are better. Like the third option as is more of a second option in my eyes, so I feel like that's why Phoenix would factor. We've got a few people who have weighed in on the Facebook post, which I've just brought up now. Obviously, well, we have Brendan Sharp straight away. Clippers, PG, Kawhi, and Harden. Do you put Harden or Westbrook as the number three? Because it started with Westbrook this year, and it's become become Harden. Sorry.
So just going back to what you were saying about Beal, though, but I think it's the thing that differentiates like Boston between Phoenix, because for me, Beal and Booker's skill sets overlap enough, and then the same with KD and Beal, and even to a certain degree, KD and Booker, I would say their skill sets do overlap a little bit, and I think that's for me why I'm so high on Porzingis, because he just doesn't get in the way of what Brown and Tatum do. In fact, I'll probably say the
Brown and
opposite. He
Tatum are the
complements
overlap
them.
though, there aren't they? Do you know what I'm like? Beal and Booker are
There is
Brown and
some,
Tatum. Yeah, that's in my eyes anyway.
definitely.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I see your
definitely.
point
And
though.
look, I don't
I think Phoenix's
disagree,
problem,
but
the
one
three
thing I
of them
will.
don't take the court. That's the problem.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You never get to
So,
see a big three in Phoenix
what
because they rotate one player.
I did was to try and make this a little bit hobby relevant. You've got the spreadsheet of this too, and I
Yeah.
went through and found the last PSA 10 silver sold for the third option player. So, for example, for James Harden,
Yeah.
now this is a little bit different for Harden because he's tops chrome. So the refractor,
Yeah.
numbered to 500, last sold for 2,728,
Sheesh.
and the chrome base, which is numbered to 999, last sold for 1,170. And I've pretty much done that for every team. So, yeah.
Hobby, right? Yeah, I'm like I've got people's big threes in front of me. I haven't got card ladder up at the moment.
Instead of the spreadsheet, it's all just too.
Yeah. Where are we?
Alrighty, so Matthew Hull also, he contributed. He mentioned that Boston was his choice. Now we've already done Jaylen Brown. He's he suggested Porzingis. We've already done Porzingis today. He was at 180 his last sold.
Yep.
Matthew Yuga, frankly, he cheated. He said the Houston Rockets, and for his 1 and 2, he said Alperen Şengün, and then his third, he said Dylan Brooks. And look, I'm going to go along with your joke, Matty. I won't poo-poo you here, but Dylan Brooks is not on card ladder, and you better be listening to this, Matthew Yuga. He's not on card ladder for a reason, okay, mate? Dylan Brooks sucks, okay? So I had to go into 130 point. His optic number to 199. He doesn't have a Prism rookie card. PSA 9, last sold for 33 USD.
All class.
Our
All
friend
class.
of the show, Aiden also cheated. He just said a 1 and 2 option, and then he said you can alternate between Drew Holiday and Porzingis. Joe Dennison
and White
said... Joe Dennison said the Lakers. He said LeBron, AD, and D'Angelo Russell. His silver PSA 10 rookie last sold for 75. Now, this is a really interesting one, actually. The pop on that is 78. So, I'm slightly curious on that, actually. Like, I think the price on that is low enough that it's kind of, doable. You could have a bit of a swing on it. But I would also say, too, look, I'm pretty sure he's going to be traded imminently, as soon as the trade deadline or the trade period, opens up again. And then, I think his hobby value will probably decrease if he does leave the Lakers. So it's a bit of a tricky one. Now, this next one is really for you, Adam, but this is from John O'Michaels. So he very cheekily said Anthony Davis first, Austin Reeves second, and LeBron third. And look, I think just for the sake of the activity, this is kind of a fun one. So
LeBron's a great third option.
James is his Chrome Refractor Silver PSA 10 last sold for $26,710. So really interesting. I think this is fun. Looking at the different values. I think for me also this activity sort of lets you map out in your head, where players can go. So, maybe like the most interesting one so far for me is the James Harden one. Like, would you have expected his prices to be so high, even on like a Chrome, his base card, which is numbered to 999? I'll admit that, but
Harden's an interesting one.
That 1,100? Yeah.
I feel like Harden. Recently, we know Brooklyn James Harden, we know Philly James Harden, we know the Clippers James Harden. We've I don't know if it's been long enough now that we're starting to forget how good Houston James Harden was.
He's a freak.
Like MVP level James Harden was. There was a time there where this man was incredibly hobby relevant and did get a bit of a following. So it doesn't surprise me that his rookie holds value. I think he is going to be one of those first ballot Hall of Fame players. Maybe second, who knows. But I think we forget how good he was at the peak of his powers because, and I'll go back to something I say a lot, the lack of success in Houston. If James Harden had brought a championship to Houston when he was with Dwight Howard, say, are we talking differently about James Harden today if that happens?
I think the price of his rookies would be probably double if he had one, particularly with that Dwight Howard roster. That was maybe not even the best roster he had in Houston, but
yeah.
To answer your question, I think there's not that many players in league history that they had to change the rules for because of that player. So I think
correct.
Wilt Chamberlain was one. They extended the key.
I remember. Well, I know. Yeah, but the whole the fouling. Yeah, the Harden rule. But he is. He
Like they
shaped the
did
game.
something
I
for
don't know if
Jordan.
it's a good thing or a bad thing the way he did it, what he became renowned for. But
Jordan played in an era where they didn't really change the rules for Jordan though, did they? I was going to say I feel like they changed something for
Shaq
Jordan,
was
but no, they didn't. But then, yeah, well, the back down rule was changed because of Barkley, and then the hands rule, like you just pointed out, was changed because of James
yeah.
Harden. So yeah, it's a very short list. I think you know, and he won't be forgotten for that. The funny thing for me, I feel like the court of public opinion of James Harden isn't fantastic. So
No, no,
when I then
exactly.
see those when I see those prices, it really
Mm.
makes me a little bit surprised. So yeah, fun activity. All right, so these next few we can do them or not, and why don't we just take turns at picking teams to talk about? I'm going to kick this off though. I'm going to start with the Kings. So Fox number one, Sabonis number two, Keegan Murray number three. Right. So this is actually a
Ooh.
bit of an interesting one, and also topical at the moment. So his last silver PSA 10 sold for 95 USD. I'm
Yep.
totally fine with that. Now he's not on card ladder, so I had to pull this data from a couple of different places, but I want to point this out. He has 233 total gems. Now, I got that from obviously our friend Ryan at GemRate, and I actually had to pull this from his frequently asked questions. Gems include PSA 10 or Beckett 9.5 and 10 and Black Label, SGC 10 and Pristine, CGC 10 plus Legacy 9.5 gem mints, pristine and perfect. So I didn't really understand how he had so many gems, but that makes sense because now Ryan is adding all of the data together to give you that sort of
Yeah,
overall.
the complete look.
Yeah. Look, maybe this is something I need to pick Ryan's brain a little bit more about. Look, to be honest, I'm happy with the 95 PSA 10s. That's probably enough in my mind to sort of to move forward.
Mm.
Um, Anyway, look, so Keegan Murray, I've got something up here. He recently had an amazing game, 47 points, 16 of 23 shooting, 12 of 15 from the 3-point line, and at one point he hit 11 in a row. Steph Curry was playing at the same time that their game was going on, and Steph was told in his press conference afterwards, and his response is actually amazing. So go online and find that. He's just a
Yeah.
genuinely nice guy, Steph Curry. You can't be mad at
I'm
this
I'm
bloke.
looking at
I'll
the
just finish
article
off with
now. Just the look on Steph's face is priceless. He's like, "What? He did what now?"
and he was happy for him too.
He
I think that's
likes.
the other cool thing.
I
Yeah,
think Curry is one of those advocates of the game more than anything. Like he is he
just a
celebrates
likable guy.
success of everybody.
Yeah,
Like a healthy
eight
healthy for the
rebounds, two
game.
assists, two steals, and plus 33 in 36 minutes. So look, I think
Yep.
you sort of know where I'm going with this. I think I was a little bit uncooked on Keegan Murray just because he came out of the league quite old. But
Mm.
then, the flip side of that is that he has a lot more success earlier on. And I think this. So I think the two things for me with this guy is like, will he be able to defend in the league? The answer is yes.
Yep.
Will he be able to have enough off the dribble game to complement his 3-point shooting? I think the answer is also now becoming yes. And
Mhm.
then the third question is will Keegan Murray survive in this league as his career goes on? I think this is for me where, I, this really puts the icing on the cake for me. Where this guy's a buy or not. The answer is yes. It's because I think he's playing the 3 at the moment. He can
Mm.
get old and start to play the 4.
Yeah.
Fill out a little bit more, and then he gets a bit more immobile. He might even play a little bit of 5. Remember, like Sam Perkins? Look at Sam Perkins' footage when he was like a young buck and he's like playing the 3, and then at the end of his career with the Pacers, he's like this old dude. You can't
It's
tell me
true.
that Keegan Murray couldn't do that. Yeah. So
Yeah. Very, very, very
look,
much so. Yeah.
I don't think the only caveat I'll put to this is Keegan Murray is like softly spoken. He's not going to be doing a whole lot of highlight reels. I don't think this is going to be like a Josh Fruger type, purchase or card. I think this is more like a slow burn. So, just sort of, bear with me while I'm frothing over this guy. I say, tread a little bit carefully. So, who would you like to pick, Ad? You can pick anyone if you want. I've put a couple in there if you're interested, but
Hang on. Hang on. Where are we?
it's on the spreadsheet.
Where? Hang on. I'm struggling to bring the spreadsheet up. No, I can't load it.
Go to go to
Why?
so just make sure you're logged into the You Can't Comp This
Ah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Gmail,
That's right,
and
because I'm
then
not logged
click
into
on
that.
Sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then go to Sheets. Yeah.
Why can't I go back? Hmm.
Don't worry, I'll timestamp this and cut it all out. Take your
Awesome.
time, man. Don't stress at all. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
no,
good.
it's being a my computer's being a jerk. I keep trying to get into. There we go. Sheets
And it's called 121 Top
top
3.
three.
So at the top, it's got, I'll probably put this in bold, it might be easier for you, but on column F is the price of the last PSA 10 that sold, and then
Mm-hmm.
column G is the pop. Yeah,
All right.
does that make kind of sense?
Yep.
And we're down to about row 10. You can choose any you want, you don't have to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm actually just going through it now. What do we got? Let's have a look. Well, don't. Oh, let's go. All right, let's go to OKC. I can't be.
Right.
Is that Giddy? Is the number 3?
Yeah, did you say giggity or did you say giddy?
Giddy. I said Giddy. Your internet's terrible today.
That's a Family Guy joke, man.
Oh, giggity, giggity.
Yeah.
I mean, we've spoken a lot about Giddy. Let's move. Let's move to someone that's a bit more successful. Then let's go the Nuggets, and let's look
No, no,
at.
don't skip. Don't, no, no, come back to OKC. That's actually interesting. So don't skip over that because
Okay,
look at the price. So
PSA last sold.
so it's
Wow,
$77, and that's down 71%. So
Jesus.
I think the last I think the last couple of weeks I've been like, this dude is a stay away, but there also becomes a point where it's like
Is it
he's
is
probably
seven
gonna recover.
is below $100 for a Giddy Silver Prism just too good to pass up?
Passed up. That's right. Look, I think a couple of years ago, people were having this conversation with Kyrie Irving, right? Like, he
Mm.
fell literally off the face of the flat earth,
I
and
thought,
it
well, that's
sort of
what happens
became
when you
like,
turn the Earth flat. You just fall off the edge, right?
yeah, but like, about $2,000 came off his cards, it's like, well, is this now a good time to, grab a
Yeah.
couple of these guys? Because, look,
77 US for a Giddy PSA 10. I would call that a buy.
yeah, and probably that's where I'm at too. And look, it
Mm.
seems like all of this is going to go away too with him. Like,
I
it's
don't
still a
see
little
it. I
bit
don't see
early.
it as a yeah, as a long-term thing.
Yeah. So,
It's an interesting one.
sorry, I hijacked your choice then, but please
I
choose
was
one.
I was gonna say one that's standing out to me is Aaron Gordon for the Nuggets.
Cool, let's do that.
Um, last sold 138, pop count of 37. So
Great.
interesting, low pop count. Very, but these third options do have low pop counts because they're not the superstar of the team. I don't know. How is
A
history
little
going to
bit of
view
it
Aaron
too is
Gordon?
also too like if you're looking through that list there, part of that also too is like the year that they were drafted. Like these guys are sort of like
Mm,
pre 2017, 18 when
yeah,
and yes,
yeah.
you're right. It's also to do with like the player themselves.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I did mention a couple times the Phoenix Suns. Bradley Beal last sold for 630 with a pop count of 30.
Yeah.
I, is that a buy,
I'm
a
not gonna
hold,
lie
or
to
a
you, I'm
sell for
shocked
you?
by that.
That's a sell for me.
That's an that's an absolute stay away for me. And yeah, or sell. Yeah.
Sell. Like, if you've got one, move it. Because, no offense to Phoenix, but you can't have a big three if only two of your players play every time. It's like they're load
I
managing on a rotation there with injuries, but
Unless Bradley Beal wins a championship in Phoenix, I have the suspicion he's going to end his career as just, a big time gunner and point scorer and
yeah.
really not going to be doing very much other than
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah. That's an
um,
interesting one.
one I wouldn't mind. Yeah, one I wouldn't mind to talk about off this list too was the Bucks. So Giannis is
Mm.
one, Lillard is number two, and then putting Middleton to number three. And
Yep.
his last silver PSA 10 sold for 480, and the pop on that is 26. And I think that one's a really interesting one because it depends when you bought that. Like you could have got that. I reckon these would have sold for $20 at one point.
Mm.
And so, if you have that sort of foresight to jump on and get them, probably my thing about this guy now is that it's probably a sell for me at 480 because
Yeah.
it's not that far away from Edwards at the moment, and I think he probably has, better long-term potential, and it's not that far away from Tatum at the moment. And then you could buy what, two or three Jalen Browns, which is probably an even par of a prospect or a player, and you sort of ripping hard hold for that. So
Mm.
I I've got a lot of respect for Middleton. I love his game. I love the way he approaches, life and the NBA. Like, please don't,
Yeah, no,
misconstrue that, but I just think
I
480.
definitely, I
Yeah,
definitely think there's a difference between our respect for his game and his hobby presence. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Um, can I do one more? Is that okay?
Go for it.
Cool. All right. So this next one is a little bit of, again, like a thought project for me. So Orlando Magic, Banchero, number one with a bullet. I'm just high as a kite with this guy at the moment. Wagner two, and then on paper, I think it's number three. And I think I've had a fair bit of conversation on the show about this
Mm.
guy. I've sort of
Mm-hmm.
they've either been hinting at it or I've been talking about it. I think Fulton's, a good buy. And look, I think probably my thought around this guy's changed a little bit. He's injured again. You know, the team's playing well without him. So,
Yeah.
that really makes me maybe unsettled is not the right word, but it takes my confidence away from this guy, a
Yeah.
lot. And I've sort of given up on him, inside. I'm sort of a bit like, I don't really expect anything more from this guy. I think his prices are probably going to be what they're going to be. And, if you do get a kick out of him in the future, like, well done, you've sort of done it. But you know what I mean? Like, I just think
It's not.
he's
Yeah.
almost he's just a stay away now. But there is two that I want to really quickly talk about, right? And
Okay.
these are deep cuts. These are deep cuts, but Jet Howard, drafted in the first round this year, he's only averaging 4.3 minutes a game, so he's
Yeah.
not getting a lot of like time. But I think he is Chris Middleton type player where he could become something, really fantastic in the league. Going back to the NBA draft.net, I remember reading this at the time. They gave him 9 out of 10 on his jump shot. I went back and double checked that.
Yeah.
My memory was correct on that. Um,
Interesting.
other one that who's kind of interesting too for the Magic, I don't think is going to probably have the same amount of potential, but Anthony Black, he's currently playing 24 minutes a game, and he's the opposite of Jet Howard, where he's like his game is ready for the NBA, but his jump
Mm.
shot is probably just not quite there. So
Not quite in.
you
Yeah.
know you can go in two ways with the Magic, right? If you want to prospect them, you go with Jet Howard, someone who's got the free ball already, and then the
Mm-hmm.
rest of his game just needs to catch up, or do you
Yeah.
go with Anthony Black? Picking these cards, I think he's going to come out in the secondary market for $5 or $10 a piece for a
You.
silver prism,
It's
right?
literally pocket change, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is pocket change stuff, but I think these two are kind of interesting to talk about. Probably in my mind, though, I'm
Mm.
much higher on Jet Howard, so that's just like a fun one to
Interesting.
finish off the segment with.
For
Yeah.
sure. I was looking at the run sheet. Do we want to go through some quick hitters and then finish up with some Christmas stories? Some Russell's adventures. Because I'm looking at, well, where are we? Where are the quick hitters?
I think if we make a long show today, it's not the worst thing in the world because people can listen on the
It's going to be
travel and
Christmas.
the
We
holidays and
can
stuff like that.
we can probably actually one of these in particular might be a bit deeper than just a quick hitter.
Great
Um,
stuff.
all right, which one do you want to cover next? Do we want to go through your holiday adventures?
Let's do it. So I've got a couple of holiday tales. We went to the Hall of Fame. So we're currently in Boston. We hired a car and we drove out to Springfield or Bington, whichever you want to call it. It was a really nice day. I think they'd done a really good job of recognizing international players, female, women's contributions to the game. I think they did a really good job of that.
Mm-hmm.
Memorabilia, they had interactive games for the kids to play. So look, the kids were happy
Awesome.
just playing the touch screens while I was looking and stuff. They had a whole section dedicated to Kobe and the movie that he made about his retirement.
Yep.
And then they also gave packets of cards to the kids. So I'll do a bit of a post on this, but they actually gave out 2023 Basketball Hall of Fame sealed packs from Panini. So I got 2 packs. I just took them off the kids. Kids aren't having them. I'm keeping them. I've opened 1 pack. They're just like base, like Don Russ sort of base cards, but pretty cool.
Wow. Okay, that's
Um,
still pretty cool.
yeah, on the way home, we went down to Abington and we went to Bleach's card store. They had
Okay.
some singles there. They had a little bit of sealed pack. I bought a select blaster and some singles. Probably the best single I got was a Caitlin Clark Bowman's first rookie card, a pink one. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Okay.
And then I finally found a Target that was well stocked with retail stuff. So, and they had an absolute amazing bargain on. They had the Prism hanger packs for $8 US per packet, and they were half price. So I
Wow.
grabbed a whole bunch of those. They had some blasters there for 20 USD. They had some select blasters. And I just felt fantastic because I've actually been to, this is my second trip to America, and I've been to probably 10 or 15 different Targets and Walmarts. This is only the second one where I've seen like proper amounts of stock
Abundant
on the
levels
shelf.
of
So it's,
stock.
I wouldn't even call it abundant, but like I still haven't hit that mecca of this shop where it's like the whole aisle is just filled up with stock. I've never seen one of those, but it was enough that I was sort of embarrassed to say, but I was really excited. It was like, oh, that
Yeah.
was fantastic, It felt great going through the checkouts. Anyway, so I'm gonna just take my time and rip that over the next couple of months. It
Awesome.
was very exciting. So
Delightful.
um, damaged one of ones is next in the run sheet. So
Yes.
keen to talk. I'm keen to talk to you about this because I think that this is interesting. So
Mm.
2 different one-of-one product hits were just pulled in bad condition. This Chet Holmgren one-of-one rookie
Yep.
had terrible surface issues. That is from Hoops.
Yep.
While the Bronny James one-of-one
The off.
refractor, which is from
Yeah.
Tops. So sorry, Hoops is Panini and Tops is friends with Fanatics.
Yeah.
Is completely off-centered. Could manufacturers offer a replacement program for high-end cards that are factory damaged? Adam, where are you with this?
Oh boy, this is a rabbit hole. We talked about having a long episode. We could probably dedicate an episode to ways to fix this, opinions, and look. I like the concept of getting a replacement, but I think it does take away from the fact that it's the only one in existence. It's not a true one of one if you get a replacement one of one. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get that it's damaged, and I get it's terrible that it's off center. I think the solution, and this is just my personal opinion, is to have
I want your opinion.
a separate way of grading one-on-ones. So slab a
do you mean
one
by
of
that?
one, and you know how you authenticate an autograph?
Yes.
Authentic one of one. That's the only information you need.
You can't do that now, though. You just send it off for authentication.
Can you just say this is an authentic one of one? But that's why would you want it graded? Why would you? What? I get it. I don't want to scratch on my cards. I don't want my card to be off center. But it's also the only one in existence. So fundamentally, if it's the only one, it's the best version of it. It's also the worst, but that's not the point. But I'm saying it's a one of one. Replacing a one of one is saying we're going to make another one. So it's one of two. I don't know. I struggle with that. I think authenticating it. I think the quality control needs to be a lot better for one of ones to start with. But What are you going to do? Like, what do you really... I think there's too much focus on the condition of the card. I think the importance of the fact that it's the only one made, that's the important factor about that card. That's what makes that card so special and so rare, is it is a one of one. This is it. Anyway, that's my thought on it. You're right, you can just get it authenticated, but maybe they do. They call it a one-on-one authentication, and maybe they offer some level of cleaning or some not altering, but I don't know. How do you protect those cards? Do you make one of one's redemptions?
So, well, that's they're doing that in a Topps product coming up. They're calling it the White Glove service, and that's exactly what they're doing. And then they also, part of it, they'll send it off to PSA, BGS, or SGC on your behalf, and that's all like part of.
I think I think it should come slabbed as a one of one.
Yeah, I think the problem with that, people weighing packs and handling packs, even boxes, that would change like the
A
weight
pack of cards with a
and
slab in it would be interesting. But does the redemption card just weigh the same as a normal insert? You know what I mean? Like,
I've not actually weighed and compared them, but I reckon a redemption would probably weigh about the same as a regular card, maybe a little bit less. I suppose they're a little bit thin depending on the card type.
yeah.
Just really quickly, that is from Twitter at Eric Whiteback, and my response to this is there is currently a replacement program in existence, and you can send your cards in. And the reason why that they can actually replace them is because they always print extras off. And
Hang on.
For example,
they print an extra of a one of one.
I don't exactly know all the logistics, but I believe that they do. And so what I was going to say is, for an example, for a number to 25, they'll always print 27 of them. And then when you send in your card, they they switch it over basically.
Right, and foil stamp the same number on it?
That I'm not sure about either, but I can tell you this though, sometimes you can send cards into them that you believe are factory damage, and they'll return them back to you and say, that's part of the card. So there is some consideration to be, for example, this is the easy one to remember, is when athletes are signing the cards, you would expect them to have more wear and tear on them, or some corner damage and edge damage, because they have been handled more than regular, being shipped in and out and then
they've been
signed by the
and players don't really give a fat rat's when they're signing cards. Like, some of them might, but they're like, I'm signing hundreds of cards. We're not going to have our white gloves on for that. Interesting.
I think you answered the question explicitly, and I technically haven't done that yet. So
No.
Would this devalue the card as it's not technically pulled anymore? So look, I don't think it does devalue it. And so for these two cards, I would say the Chet Holger should be replaced, because I think that to me is like, obviously something mechanical is being dragged over that, so I think that should be replaced. The Bronny James though, I think that should stay as is, and if that was sent in for replacement, it just gets sent back saying, that's the normal, variation that you would expect from,
quality control allow a certain amount of centering to be, yeah.
I think that to me, those two cards are two different types of damage. So, yeah. Alrighty, I kind of put this next one in view of the Anthony Davis thing, but also too, it's a little bit relevant because we were talking about Anthony Davis the last couple of shows. So this is from our friends Card Ladder. They do this beautiful comparison. So Anthony Davis number to 10, BGS 9.5 gold rookie, sold for $13,250. Victor Wembanyama gold Prism draft. So this is the non-pro uniforms.
Yeah.
Sold for $12,500. And look, this is really interesting for me because I think this type of sale really is good for the Prism draft set, where I think traditionally people disregarded it and and really not put much money into it, which is fine. Like, it's great for me. It's been a very accessible set for me, and I've enjoyed it. But this is more money than we've ever seen out of this product.
It's true. It's very true. It's true.
market. So I'm very excited for this, to be perfectly honest with you.
Would you?
And
Which
the
one would?
question is,
Which one would you buy?
yeah. So look, like being brutally honest, I still think the same trend is going to occur.
Yeah.
Is that Prism Draft comes out, the prices are high, and then the Pro stuff comes out, then the Prism Draft stuff drops down. So I think just by using that rationale, the Anthony Davis is a really, really good buy. And we kind of spoke about that last week, that he
Mm.
was a little bit undervalued and, there wasn't very much hobby love for the guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm erring on the side of caution with I'd go AD. I think he's established, and I think that price for an AD rookie is good value. Interesting looking the sale prices and the card ladder values. In the image, card ladder value is 12,357 for the AD, and the card ladder value for the Wemby was 9,878.
Softer got a value of 9K, nearly 10K, frankly.
I
Like that is unheard of in that product.
Yeah, yeah. But Wemby is very different. If he is as generational or game changing, if he's the next coming of LeBron, like a LeBron, a Steph, a Jokic level performer, I mean that's yet to be seen. It's year one, right? He's 20 something games into his career. AD is established. The man's played for over a decade. So yeah, it's very interesting to play. But I would take the AD. I think the AD. A lot of the stone has been chiseled.
Much less of a gamble.
Yeah, the stone is being chiseled on AD's career. His stats are what they are, and there are some phenomenal ones there. So, but yeah, crazy good to see Prism fast break.
Yeah. So that Prism Draft product is, for me, that's such a gamble, right? It's a gamble on so many levels. You're gambling on the product that people are going to value it into the future. You're gambling on Wembanyama, and then like
it's a gamble on a gamble on a gamble.
Yeah, I've said this before, where you buy a card and you intend to flip it, and then you get stuck with it, and then it's like, well, I hope you like that card because no one's going to give you 100% of that back at any point.
The back of my mind, I'm like, well, in the comparison, Anthony Davis isn't wearing the uniform I want him to be wearing anyway. So him and Wemby in that situation.
Alrighty, so this next one, this is actually because the last 2 weeks I've spoken about this card, but I didn't have the values on hand, and I couldn't find the link. Anyway, I found it a couple of days ago, so I'm going to talk about this card again.
Go for it.
Curry Gold Prism number 10, PSA 9, last sold was 6,693. LeBron James 2003 SP Authentic on card autograph PSA 8. Sold for 6,954. I've already put my line in the sand on this. I'm going with LeBron, but I just wanted to actually get the numbers out to the people because I've talked about it and I've not actually put the numbers out there. Thank you.
Is there actually a question here? Because I'm going to LeBron, even though Card Ladder reckons the Halliburton's worth 10K.
Yeah, interesting, right? All right, now this is the one I do have a question for you for. Chet Holmgren, Optic Gold Vinyl 1 of 1, PSA 8, last sold for $31,110. Hold, or sell for you?
Can I make a joke first? Can I make a joke first?
You can make it.
What's it? What do you reckon the PSA 10's worth? Oh wait, there are no PSA 9s or 10s because it's a 1 of 1.
At least double.
At least double. Do we regrade it with BGS, then regrade it again to try and get a 10? God, there's another rabbit hole. Do you regrade a card if it gets a shitty grade?
So Ryan spoke about that on the podcast. People do that.
Yeah.
And
crack it open, clean it up.
We've seen some instances of a cut.
Go to one of those websites.
25 times.
Get their trimmers out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness. 1 of 1.
I hold or sell out. Come on, let's go.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Is that on card?
Yeah. Yes.
31k. 31k. I'm
It's a
selling.
bit unclear, but
I'm selling. There's a lot more things I would spend 30 grand on.
yeah, I gotta say, like, you could get a really nice LeBrons for that.
Kobe's, LeBron's, Curry's. Look,
So,
Chet might be the second coming again. Who knows? But I would sell that for something something concrete.
you know how we were talking off air about how we're the old men in the room and we don't understand
Where the
words and
line
we have
is?
to look them up in Urban Dictionary, right? So
Yep.
just let's be devil's advocate. So we both agree that this is a sell, right? But let's just try and make the argument why is this a buy?
Because in 20 years, when everybody's forgotten about Jordan, by the way, that will never happen. But in 20 years, when Chet Holmgren is the greatest basketballer of all time, that card will be worth $750,000. I'm kidding, by the way, but
You know,
I'm exaggerating to an extent. But
yeah.
what happens if Chet's
So we were
like
talking earlier.
four-time MVP? Like his career's yet to be told. We don't know. He also
Here's
could
my
pick it out
point
of a
here, though,
$20
right? So,
bargain bin. Who knows?
so you could, for cheaper than that, you could buy a LeBron James refractor PSA 10 for 26,710. It still have some change.
And I'd go buy a couple of Kobe autos to go with it. Because I reckon that LeBron Chrome Refractor in 20 years is a $100,000 card at least. Do you know what I mean? Like, we know the story of LeBron James. And I think there's going to be a generation of people that speak of Steph and LeBron the way that old people like us speak of Jordan. So that's why it's. But who says that there's not a bunch of 8-year-olds that are gonna grow up in a world of Chet?
Look, I think I'm scratching my head at the moment, literally, because I'm just a bit perplexed about how high that went for. I think that for me, to be honest, I think that might even be like 20k too high.
Yeah. Is this Veruja factor at its finest? Because Chet's killing it
He's
this year.
exciting.
He's killing it
He's
this year.
really exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. Amazing what someone that's trigger happy that wants to win an auction does.
100%. And then I think the last thing we should do is say thanks. So we were as of today, on NBA Marketplace Australia. Ben, who's the admin there, put up a post completely unannounced for us, and just to say, if you haven't heard about us, here. So look, guys, I would like to say to Ben, thank you so much for doing that for us. I am blown away. I'm flattered, and I just want to say, thank you for that. I think the segue here is to maybe we could do our Christmas thank yous. What are you grateful for having this year, and maybe we could sign off tonight's show.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, huge thanks to Ben for the shout out on the marketplace site. Really appreciate all the support from people in the hobby, especially in Australia, of course. It's nice to have people around the world listen to the show. But yeah, without the listeners,
more Yanks listening, I think.
That's the roadshow that you're doing now when you're going to shops and advertise. You're just you're promote. It's the promotional tour. Where really it's a bit low key.
2 clicks at a time.
We'll do a joint one sometime soon. We'll go around the states and just do the You Can't Comp This roadshow. Once ESPN picks us up.
Yeah, I was gonna say we might need a sponsor.
Well, yeah, we'll reach out to ESPN, see if they want to compete with the Ringer. Look, I'm grateful as far as the show goes. Thank you for another fantastic year, Russell. This is a lot of fun. I love doing this. This is a great experience, and it really encapsulates what I feel is such a great community we've got. And just seeing stuff like this from Ben, it's humbling. It's just like, I feel really privileged to be part of such an amazing community. Personally, I've had a sort of roller coaster year, but it's nice to have some good people around, like yourself, like my other friends, like this hobby, the community. I picked up some cool cards. I got my first Kaboom. We did our first live show at the Hobby Hangout. That was awesome. Yeah, it's been a really, really good year. And yeah, just thankful that we're able to do this and put this on every week. And yeah, appreciate all the support from all those that listen week in and week out. And Merry Christmas across the pond to our friends in New Zealand, the Card Codex boys, all of our guests really. We've probably got to start getting a few repeats happening. But yeah, we've had some amazing guests.
That time of year to start looking at next year, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, some awesome stuff. Anyway, I could waffle on and go about how grateful and thankful I am. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. This is a huge part of my life as far as enjoyment goes, and I get a lot out of this. This is like therapy for me. So it's good. My card therapy for the week.
Well, I'll say thank you for the kind words of what you said to me. I think that's really lovely, and it's actually really good to hear you say that you do enjoy it, because that gives me a lot of comfort. Actually, so that's really good. So. Yeah. I'm glad you enjoy it. And I think just going on from what you were saying too, this is now just like a part of my life and a part of my routine. It's just sort of something I just chip away at almost every day now. So I really enjoy this. And I think when you're talking about the community aspect of it too, I definitely enjoy that sort of interaction and the people contributing to us. I find that I really enjoy that aspect of it too. And I think, obviously, so we've talked about the people who listen to the show, the people who support us and sponsor us. So we've got Slambox at the moment. We've got Bang Man, DJ Cards who have supported us from when we had 25 listens a week to now we're up to 250, 300 a week. It's 10x in that time. So I think I'm definitely grateful for those boys. And then you touched on personal. I'll probably say for me, just like, my lovely wife is always very supportive of my endeavors of card activities, which makes things so much easier for me, because it's never a pressure or a pain point for our relationship or anything like that. She's very good like that. And then awesome. Hopefully the kids will listen to a podcast one day. That would be good, like personally for me. Yeah, they don't want to listen to this nonsense.
Well, wait until they're requesting shark. They're requesting Pokemon. We do Pokemon cards for a week, and you'll have the kids on.
Please no. Anyway, I think on that note, have a happy holiday, everybody. That's my new favorite phrase. Not Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday.
Enjoy the festive season. Have a fantastic holiday period. Be safe. Hoping for a white Christmas for you, and I'm hoping for a very sunny Christmas for me. So,
Barbie.
But yes.
Alrighty, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Take it easy. Thanks a lot.
We'll see you all next year, I guess. Maybe. Can we squeeze one in before the new year? We'll see how we go.
Yeah.
All right. Stay safe, everyone.
Happy holidays.